How did they move a 20,000-ton stone into place? Nobody has a clue how it was done. But they did it, okay? And they fit so tightly together, even today you still can't get a piece of paper in between a lot of these walls. This bell was found inside a lump of coal. We'll cover lots more on that on video number 6 about human artifacts found in coal. This zinc and silver vessel found in solid rock, supposed to be 600 million years old. They found a sunken ship in the Aegean Sea, which is near Greece, part of Greece and that area. Inside the sunken ship was an analog computing device. The ship sank about 100 BC. It's in the National Science Foundation now. A computer on board a ship 2,000 years old. And you think ancient man was dumb and modern man is smart? The hammer that was found in New London, Texas, 1934, Battelle Laboratories said it's 96% iron, 2.6% chlorine, 0.74% sulfur. No carbon, and yet it is stainless steel. It won't rust. They knew how to make that long before the flood. This battery was found in Iraq, supposed to be 2,000 years old. They had electricity a long time ago. One of the Egyptian hieroglyphics shows mummies connected to wires going to some kind of generator. Apparently they used electricity during the Egyptian times. They certainly knew how to do brain surgery. Oftentimes human skulls are found where they had cut holes in them to work on the brain or let out the evil spirits or whatever, and the hole healed shut, proving the guy survived the surgery. This metallic sphere was found with 3 lines around it. It's found in Precambrian material, supposed to be 2.8 billion years old, obviously worked by humans for some reason. A Folsom blade embedded in a lower surface of travertine crust from Sandia Cave, New Mexico. The layer of travertine is said to be 250,000 years old, and yet there's a piece of, like an arrowhead or something, stuck in it. On the right, you see the mortar and pestle found in a mine under tertiary deposits 30 to 50 million years old in California. All sorts of things were found in underneath this layer of lava. It's supposed to be 30 million years old. Now, the layer is not 30 million years old. That's the whole problem. Okay? What appeared to be a standard geode was picked up in California. Fossil shells encrusting its surface are at least 500,000 years old. This object came to be known as the Coso artifact. The names of the people who found the artifact were listed right here for you. They found the item in 1961 on a mountain 4,300 feet high, 340 feet above the dry Owens Lake, 6 miles northeast of Alancha, California. Geologists think it's about 1,000 years old. Owens Lake was as high as the top of that peak. 1,000 years ago, it was that high. No professional scientist has ever investigated the artifact, even though it has been found to be magnetic. It is quite similar technologically to a modern-day ceramic superconductor capacitor. These little metal shavings were found, nanotechnology artifacts in Upper Pleistocene, supposed to be 2 million years old, discovered in the Ural Mountains in Russia. The report, Central Scientific Russian Institute for Geology and Prospecting of Precious Metals, emphasizes the possibility of an extraterrestrial origin. In other words, somebody came from outer space and left these here. Real tiny, beautifully designed artifacts in metal, but the rock's supposed to be too old. The size of these range from a maximum ½ inch, 1.2 inches, down to an incredible 0.003 millimeters, 1/10,000th of an inch. Exact measurements of these, often microscopically small objects, have shown that the dimensions of the spirals are in the so-called golden mean ratio. Now that's interesting. The Greeks built a lot of their buildings using this golden mean ratio. The length of the height and the width are a certain ratio, 1.6 to 1. The golden mean ratio is used all through nature. If you watch the Disney movie Fantasia, which teaches all sorts of evolution, I think you'll see it mentioned in there. Disney had a movie for years available about the golden mean ratio with Mickey or Donald Duck or something, showing how this ratio is found in the curve of a ram's horn, in the way a shell grows, in the way pine cones grow. It's found all over nature. It is aesthetically beautiful to the eyes. The Parthenon is built with the golden mean ratio. And here these articles that are found have the golden mean ratio in them. Since ancient classical times, this fraction has been the iron rule in architecture and geometry. Its usefulness is the fact that a certain length is divided into two using this ratio. The length of the original length of the larger piece is the same as the larger piece to the smaller piece. And you can go into all the details on the golden mean ratio if you want to get into that. Here they found these interesting articles found. There's a website telling all about it. They're supposed to be dated 100,000 years old. I'm sorry. I think they happened to find something that was made pre-flood by the people who were living to be 900 years old. You could learn a lot in 900 years. Plus, you can talk to your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. He's still alive. He can teach you things. Plus, Adam came pre-programmed from the hand of God. He probably knew an awful lot of stuff. And Adam walked and talked with God for maybe 100 years. God was his teacher. I think they were incredibly advanced back then. Now, as far as why we don't find evidence of that civilization, I think we do find evidences of it. But people say, well, if there was a flood, why don't we find their houses and their cars? Well, if you live in a perfect world, with everything growing right on your property, you don't need a car. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need a house. You got perfect weather. I think if you look at what the Bible teaches, the pre-flood world had just about everything just right, except for the people messing it up. And so you wouldn't need the things we have today. Okay, next question. What about the Great Pyramid? Now, I get, one guy's got a radio program. He's blasted me 3 times on his program saying, Hovind doesn't know what he's talking about because, he mentions the Great Pyramid and teaches pyramidology. I do not teach pyramidology. I think it's an interesting study, and I get asked the question, so I'll answer it. Okay? The Great Pyramid in Egypt is the largest by far of the pyramids. All the rest of the other pyramids found, and thousands have been found around the world, 67 just in Egypt. All the other pyramids are loaded with hieroglyphics. This is King Herman, the greatest guy that ever lived, blah, blah, blah. The Great Pyramid doesn't have any of this. That building is gigantic. Some people have argued, and I think it's an interesting study, that the pyramid might be what's referred to in Isaiah chapter 19, when it says there's an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt and a pillar at the border thereof. And it's a sign for a witness and a witness to the Lord, to the host of Egypt. It could be the pyramid was built before the flood and is the only structure to survive the flood. It could be the pyramid was built after the flood in Noah and was built by those people who were still living to be 400 years old. And they were trying to preserve some of this incredible knowledge. The pyramid contains some amazing mathematical ratios. You can find the value of pi